was his wife back at the back table going, yeah, they're right.
He does that every night.
Most of you didn't know. Most of you couldn't hear it because the music was so loud, but one of them sashayed up next to him and said, hey, big boy, what do you think about some super sex? And he said, oh, shit, at my age, I'll just have the soup. So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Terry Hill. And if he pulls out a bow and does that, I'm going to the bar.
I feel very intimidated following these guys are professionals, and I'm not. Mayor Eisenhower and Mr. Hulvey there are very, very good in what they do, and I am not. And I didn't know what to say, and they told me that anything like this nature, that it's all the delivery, it's not really what you say, but the delivery left about 7 beers ago, so we're going to kind of muddle through this just a hair. We're going to have a good time. Shockey doesn't sign my checks anymore, so I can say about what the hell ever I want. In the circles we run, we don't call him Shockey, we call him the Big Dick. It's a lie, though. When Shockey came to Dacc, I thought this might be a real good opportunity for me to go and try to beef up more scholarships and try to get a lot more money in my budget. Carpe diem, seize the day. So I go in and talk to Shockey. And he sits down and he starts telling me about Rhinelander, Wisconsin and all this kind of nonsense, and I'm listening to this and listening. And finally, I look on his desk and there's a sign that says cheap. After about a 45-minute repertoire, you're not getting any more money. I look at this sign, I say, here's your sign, cheap. I'm not good like these guys. I gotta have notes. I've been to Shockey's house several times. We stopped by there. The best time, one of the best times ever was one night. We stopped in there about 5:30 at night. My wife said, oh, don't drop in on Shockey. And I said, it's Sunday afternoon. He's having a good time. Shockey did 200 sit-ups in his sit-up machine for us. That's prime entertainment on a Sunday night. Another time, we invited Shockey's over, and we had Lowenbrow and had a good time, and then he invited Marla and I over, and we had Milwaukee's Best till 4:30 a.m. There ain't nothing best about Milwaukee's Best. You drink a 12-pack. And we drank 4:30. Shockey's wearing a leather sports car hat and standing at the front door laughing and in a girlish giggle thinking we're having a good time. And I went, you know the poor guy that drives around with all these aluminum cans tied to his car that raised all the money for the war memorial? I called that guy and I said, you know what, go by Shockey's. There's got to be a gold mine worth of aluminum at his house. All Milwaukee's Best. Like I said, the best thing about Milwaukee's Best is when it departs your system. Shockey, he's very proud of, oh, come here. You know, we've heard, I've got to have this young man come up here. We've heard about the financial straits that Danville Community College is going through. So Shockey has called in Jimmy Baker from the Heritage USA to come in and please dig deep. We really need you to go down and dig deep and bring some money out from DACC, because the foundation, the Heritage is done, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think so.
And what about Tammy Faye? Is she kaput too?
She's still around.
She's remarried. Okay, thank you, Jimmy. It's very nice that Jimmy Baker stopped by from the Heritage USA and prison to help DACC out on their foundation. Getting back to what I was trying to say, Shockey's very proud of his Iowa heritage. He always tells me, he says, now when you pass through Iowa, anybody ever driven through Iowa? That is 4.5 hours of living hell. They have 2 interstates in the whole city, or the whole state. One goes from east to west, that takes forever. You see nothing. You pass 2 towns. 2 towns in 4.5 hours, right? Everybody in Iowa has a pickup truck. They either drive 30 or 90. And none can see. Correct? He says, every time you pass by Adair, Iowa, they got a great big water tower that's bright yellow with a smiling face. And he says, every time, he says, I was in Adair, Iowa and all that. Well, I called over there. Serious. And they said, you know, half the kids in that county where he was employed, half of them called him coach or they called him Mr. Principal. Other half called him Dad. True story. Okay, we had a situation come up. Jane Ellen is doing some new investment things. She had to leave for about 2 weeks. And Shockey says, you know, he called her on the phone. He said, Jane Ellen, when you get back, we're really going to go parking. He says, you know, I haven't seen you in a while and stuff. But then just before she came home, he called Doc Howler and he says, Doc, I have a problem, a real medical problem, a misfunction. My organ has turned orange. Doc Howler says, get in here right away. So he looks at it, he says, doggone Dick, so there's something wrong here. He said, tell me about what have you been doing different in your day? He said, well, my wife's been gone for 2 weeks. And he said, what I normally do, I usually stop by Norfolk Main Liquors, get a case of beer, and then I run up to, you guys heard this story, haven't you? I run up Family Video, get a couple porno movies and a bag of Cheetos and go home. Like I said, he doesn't sign my checks anymore, so I don't care. Okay, when Wayne Baker was the CEO of the Njcaa, one time he called Shockey and he says, hey Dick, he said, please give me a list of all your DACC coaches and have it that are broken down by sex. He says, hell, we don't have a problem with sex, we have a lot bigger problem with alcohol. I said, I'm not as good as these guys. I got cheat sheets here. But one good word of advice he gave me when I took an administrative position, I said, Dick, you know, you've been in administration for years and years. What advice can you give me to help me on my new career? And he says, tell you what, he says, Terry, he said, every day in administration, this is like a shit sandwich. He says, some days you nibble, and some days you eat the whole thing. Now, this is a guy who hung out for 20 years with a bunch of grade school kids at Oakwood, watched a bunch of kids at Danville Area Community College run around the track and field, is in the Hall of Fame as of the last few months, ladies and gentlemen. Give Terry Hill a hand. Fired a football coach and put up with Scott Olson in the last 6 months, so you've been under duress, buddy. I'm kidding. Before we introduce John SPEZIA, Hall of Famer, went in last year, which was a great honor. John SPEZIA, I know we're not supposed to rip SPEZIA, but he is such an easy target. John SPEZIA, as you know, last April went into the Illinois Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame along with our very dear friend Fowler Cannell. Give Fowler a hand, will you? How many people in the room has purchased Fowler's book? Hey, what the hell's wrong with the rest of you guys? $44.95 and the funds go to support a scholarship at Danville Area Community College. Right, Dr. Jacobs? Absolutely. There you go. It's available right now at the commercial news, $44.95, and you pick up in Fowler. We'd be more than happy to autograph it for free. Anyway, SPEZIA goes into the Hall of Fame along with Fowler. Fowler's been in there for a long time. He knows the routine. Gene Gorley was here. He left. He's also in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, he's back there.
Where's Gorley? He's back there? There he is. Mean Gene. He's in the Hall of Fame, too. Yeah. But I will bet you. Now, where's Clyde at? But I'll bet you this. I'll bet you Dick Shockey's last paycheck that when Gene Gorley went into the Hall of Fame and Fowler Cannell went into the Hall of Fame, that they pronounced his name or their names properly. When John SPEZIA walks up on stage, and there we were, the whole bunch of us had gone, and we're in this room, and they're getting ready to announce, and John's all nervous, and he's getting ready, and Susie's there, and Jim's there, and Harvey's there, and we're all sitting around getting all excited because John's going up. We're going to make lots of noise. And John steps up on the stage to get his big moment in the sun, and they reach out, they shake his hand, they hand him the plaque, and they say, and congratulations from Danville Area College, John SPEZIA. It was kind of deflating, wasn't it, John? It's okay, we still love you. The mayor's going to fix that problem, by the way. He's going to bring the Hall of Fame to Danville. Right, Jeannie? I'm not kidding. Campaign promise. 2008 campaign. That's right. All right. Because we were talking about Dick, it did remind me of a quick story that I think it was John or Richard had told me about Dick and Christmas. As you know, Christmas is Dick Shockey's favorite holiday. And he told this one story that really is set next to my heart, and that is one Christmas Eve, late, near midnight, there was a rustling at the fireplace, and out pops Santa Claus. And he goes about his duty of taking care of the presents and filling the stockings, and on the top of the stairs is this beautiful woman. And she looks down at Santa Claus, and she's wearing this beautiful red gown. And she says, "Oh, Santa, oh, Santa." She starts to do this. Yeah, "Oh, Santa." And Santa Dick looks up from the fireplace, and he says, "Ho, ho, ho, Santa's got to go. Lots of toys and goodies to deliver, you know." Well, the woman walks down a couple more flights of stairs, and she starts to expose her beautiful body, and Santa Dick looks up and he realizes that she's wearing no clothes underneath this beautiful Christmas gown. Much like what we saw this evening. And Santa Dick looks up from his little gown, and he looks up and he says, "Oh, ho, 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 Santa's got to go. Lots of toys and goodies to deliver, you know." She continues down the stairs, closer to Santa Dick. And she's nearing the bottom of the stairs, and she undrapes her things. And Santa Dick says, "Ho, ho, ho, Santa's got to go. Lots of toys and goodies to deliver, you know." So she walks across. Now she's standing in front of Santa Dick, and she rubs Santa Dick's chest and his beard. She strokes his beard. She says, "Santa, won't you stay?" And Santa says, "Hey, hey, hey, Santa's got to stay. Can't get up the chimney with my dick this way." After that little Christmas note, ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Famer John SPEZIA and Richard Donahue.
That's like being down 20. But 2 minutes to go. You know, we haven't mentioned Jane Ellen. Where's Jane Ellen? Jane Ellen, can you raise your hand? The lovely wife of Dick Shockey. You know, we haven't heard much about Jane Ellen. Behind every great man, there's a great woman, and I'm going to tell about Jane. Jane Ellen was taking a banking class, and the instructor said, what do you want out of life? And Jane Ellen says, all I want out of life is 4 little animals. The instructor goes, 4 little animals? What do you mean, 4 little animals? Says, yes, a mink on my back, a jaguar in my garage, a tiger in my bed, and a jackass to pay all of it off. Here's a quote from Jane Ellen about Dick. Dick is like laxative. He irritates the shit out of me. Dick's like bananas. The older they get, the less firmer they are. Dick's like the weather. Nothing can be done to change it. Dick's like blinders. You need one, but you don't need, but you're not quite sure why. Dick's like chocolate bars. Sweet, smooth, they usually hit right for your hips. Dick's like commercials. You can't believe a word they say. He's like a department store. Their clothes are always half off. Dick's like government bonds. They take so long to nurture. Dick's like mascara. It usually runs at the first sign of emotion. Dick's like popcorn. Oh boy. He satisfies you, but only for a little while. Dick's like a snowstorm. You never know when he's coming and how many inches you'll get and how long. Dick's like a lava lamp, fun to look at, but not very bright. Dick's like Dick is like parking spots. All the good ones are taken, the rest are handicapped. And now, that's what Jane Ellen has to say about Dick. You know, Dick went to Northwest College in Missouri, down the hills. Dick is a little bit hillbilly if you never recognize that fact. He was in a lecture hall one day, and there was about 90 students in this lecture hall, and the professor jumped up and started lecturing on who believes in ghosts. And of course, a lot of people raised their hand. There was about 40 students raised their hand, and he said, I'm glad to see that everybody takes this seriously. He says, how many students have talked to a ghost? Well, about 15 raised their hand. And he said, how many people ever touched a ghost? And there was about 3 or 4 students raised their hand. He said, that's fantastic. Now, let me ask you one more question. Have any of you made love to a ghost? Way in the back, little Dick Shockey back there. He was just a freshman coming out of the hills of Missouri. The professor takes off his glasses, says, in all the years I've been giving this lecture, no one has ever claimed they made love to a ghost. You've got to come up here and tell us the whole story. Of course, little Dick kind of meanders up there. It's my story, Jane, let me tell it. Of course, the students, now Dick is all red, and he's kind of blushing, and he kind of got this big grin on his face, and he's saying, okay, and the professor says, well, let's hear it, you know, what's the deal? You made love to a ghost. Dick goes, shoot, well, shit. From way back there, I thought you said ghost. Of course, Dick used to work on a farm, too. He's got this farm in Iowa. Through his relatives, he goes and, you know, as Dick gets older, let's say that he's put on a few extra pounds here and there. Does try to exercise once in a while. I'm not quite sure how that treadmill holds him, but... Well, you know, Dick had this farm, so he was up on the farm, and he had this large pond. And out in this pond, you know, he used to go out there and take corn and stuff out to it. And one day he looks out there, and there's 6 beautiful young ladies. And they're out there skinny dipping. And of course, you know, he's got trespassers in his farm, thinking of all the liabilities, of course, that he's learned from Dr. Jacobs about liability. So he needs to make sure that there's not going to be a problem on his property. So he hurriedly runs out there. Of course, all the women are frightened. They're still just saying, well, you're not going to make us leave this pond until we get some clothes on. He says, I'm not out here for you. They go, why are you out here then, you dirty old man? He says, hell, I'm out here to feed the alligator. With that, I have a couple other things. Richard Donahue is going to come up, and he has some other things he's going to say in honor of Dick Shockey. Richard.
Go get it.
This is my favorite maintenance man, Richard Donahue.
What I'm about to tell you is the absolute truth. If we're dying, we'd be lying, we'd be lying. I happen to have a program from 1991 that it was for our 3rd Christmas award banquet. And I want to
speak up, Mr. Dunn.
Oh, excuse me. It's our 3rd Christmas award banquet, Dick. And Dick has had to, he's had many challenges in his life, and I just happen to have one of them. Oh, I know I was one of them. But I want to kind of share with you some of the things that were said about him. And I like to read this. It says, as most of you know, every Tuesday morning, all of the administrative team meet to discuss only the most critical issues facing the college. And of course, Dick has faced many critical issues. As Wilbur Dixon discussed issues critical to instruction. Linda Heron discussed issues that affect student life. And then there was Dick Shockey. This year has seen Dick become responsible for many critical items on campus, and he has put them on the table for the administrative council. The first of these pressing issues was the griddles for the pancake breakfast. 15 minutes speech. 3-page budget analysis. Next, Dick completed a study on prices for sanitary napkin machines across campus. Now, hey, folks, this is true. This is true. That was 30-minute speech, a 7-minute or 7-page budget analysis. Finally, Dick spent 2 full hours 12-page budget analysis discussing the pros and cons of installing condom machines across campus. Am I right, Dick?
You're right.
This is true. Would I lie to you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dick, so that no one forgets, you're now in charge of griddles, sanitary napkins, and are the self-made condom police officer. We just don't know what the college would do without you. But this is honest gospel, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Honest gospel. The next thing I want to mention to you, when Dr. Brown came on campus, you know, he was into physical fitness. And evidently, he had talked to the administrative council and tried to get them into physical fitness. I would see Dick Shockey walking across campus, and you know how he walks. Like that. And he had a leather bag. I thought he was going to a bowling tournament or something. But that's not correct. He was evidently going to the fitness center. And I said, well, I wonder what he's doing, you know? So I had to walk over there, and as I was walking by the fitness center, I kind of looked in. I looked in the door, and here's Dick in there on the treadmill. And I said, my goodness, I got to go see if he can make it. So I walked in, and here Dick is in his, you know the shoes he wears during national tournament, the leather shoes, the comfortable ones, Dick. And he was in there. He had those shoes on and little white anklet socks, and he had his infamous red and white shirt, sleeveless shirt on. Now, the stripes were about 2 inches, but then you get further down, they're about 4 inches. Not only that, I went in and I looked at him and I said, Dick, what are you doing? He says, I'm working out. He says, Harry wants me to exercise, wants all the administrators to exercise. I said, well, what else are you wearing? And would you hold that up, John? No. He had these on. His little Speedos. I says, what are you doing wearing those, Dick? And he says, that's all I had. And I says, well, what's that lump in your shorts? And he says, I want to look manly. I said, if you're going to look manly, he says, I thought I'd put this Idaho potato in there. And I says, Idaho potato? I says, if you're going to look manly, put it in the front, not the back. So what I did tell him, I says, why don't you use a peanut? I said, that would be more appropriate. And to say, you know, we've talked about his physical exercising. Just take one look at him, you know. The next item I'd like to share with you, and this dug deep into my heart.
How deep is dig in your heart?
Oh, real deep, really deep. After I retired, he came over, drove in one Saturday morning. He says, Richard, he says, I've got a little problem. I says, what is that, Dick? He says, I'm about ready to retire. I said, well, that's good. You deserve to retire. And he says, well, what do I need to do? And I says, you need to have an attitude adjustment. I said, you need to find out what you really want to do. He says, I really want to travel. He says, I love to travel. He says, if Jane Ellen would retire, he says, I could travel. He says, I want to use my talents. He says, I like to meet people. And he says, I like to communicate with people. I said, well, Dick, why don't you pursue that then? So, a few weeks ago, I received a letter. And I don't want to invade your privacy, but I need to read this letter, okay, Dick? And I think this is you. Dick received this letter from the Church of the Open Door Mission. 521 Main Street, Billington, Iowa, 67453, from Reverend Elton Leroy Jones, pastor. And it says, Mr. Shockey, perhaps you have heard of me and my nationwide campaign on the cause of temperance. Each year for the past 14, I have made a tour to Texas, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Indiana, delivering a series of lectures on the evils of drinking. On this tour, I have been accompanied by my young friend and assistant, Clyde. A young man of good family and excellent background. He is a pathetic example of life ruined by excessive indulgence in whiskey and women. Clyde would appear with me on the lecture and sit on the platform drunk, wheezing, staring at the audience through heavy, blurry, bloodshot eyes, sweating profusely, picking his nose, passing gas, scratching his privates, and making obscene gestures while I pointed him out as an example of what overindulgence can do to a person. This last summer, unfortunately, Clyde passed away. A mutual friend of yours has given me your name. And I wonder if you would be available to take Clyde's place this year. Yours in faith, Reverend Elton Leroy Jones, pastor, Church of the Open Door Mission. Dick, we'll know you'll excel in this, and we're so proud of you. We were talking about your fitness, your ability to get around at your age. You're just an old fart, so just a second. Would one of you guys bring up his assistant when he can walk on the mall? It's in that bag in the back there. In case you run into anybody at the mall, they'll know who you are. So we want to present this with you. Also, Dick, upon my retirement,